Hello, everybody. First of all, I want to thank CareSource for the sponsorship and their work with the mental health field that they've been doing, an invaluable thing that they're doing for us. Um, the Kansas and this Arkansas and Kansas game, this exhibition game, the proceeds of this, we're donating to uh, Children's Hospital, which is a really big deal when you have two major programs coming together, and we're donating all the proceeds to young people. Really says a lot about both programs, both coaches. We're very excited. It's the start of the season, and when I look outside the door, out the window right now, I see kids camping out, students camping out, and getting their campsites ready and tents and all of that. And it lets you know it's basketball season and it's exciting time. In the game, they're camping out now, and the game is tomorrow night at 8 o'clock. So that says a lot. Um, Also, we're going to go this evening. We're going to take the players and Coach Cal and a few of the coaching staffs are going to go and feed the kids pizzas and give them pizzas for doing this. It's great support for them to support us like this, and we got to show our appreciation. I'm gonna go now into questions.
Bob, go ahead and start us off, please.
Hey, Kenny, how you doing?
How you doing, buddy?
I'll try to sneak in that line when you guys are delivering the pizzas. Um, yeah, I think they've been. I haven't driven past there lately, but I think they've been out there for a couple of days. And of course, I know it's Kansas and it's Cal's debut and all that. But just what do you think about the excitement level for an exhibition game? Um, but whether and you always have a veteran staff. How excited is the staff? How excited are the kids? And when you see the students camping out and all that, and the SC Network's going to be, or it's going to be on TV.
I just think it's what John Calipari brings to the table. The excitement, the recognition, not just regionally, but all over the country. Everybody's going to be watching. And to see this environment and to see how people are excited about this basketball team, even though we're a little beat up, but we're coming out here and we're playing this exhibition game, and the guys want to win. And even though we may be limited in numbers for right now, but we're going to get after it.
Yeah, Cal said, I think it was last week that some guys were banged up. You weren't going to be at full strength, but he wasn't real specific. Can you tell us specifically who isn't going to play and kind of how the roster sets up for the scrimmage or the game?
I don't I don't know exactly yet. The medical staff will help us with that. Um, but the guys are getting better every day. They're getting better. But we have been down. We've had a few weeks of having five guys in our practice. So that's tough.
And
Jack,
just
Jack,
Hey Kenny, Jackson Fuller here. Just wondering how much, these kind of big exhibition games have only been going on for a few years. How valuable are they to the freshmen, the new guys, in playing in an environment like this against a big team like Kansas?
Well, if I'm not mistaken, Kansas is the number one team in the country. I think the atmosphere, the type of team that you're playing, and it doesn't count. Even if we lose, we'll still be undefeated. But what it does is it shows our young guys, it shows some of our veterans um, just how important it is that you be ready to play, because you're not just playing against a regular team that you're supposed to beat. You're playing against a team that's one of the best in the country. And so our learning curve is going to have to be fast, and this accelerates that. We'll know exactly what we need to do from here on out. We use this term and statement a lot in the program: win or learn. Early in the season, that's what it is. It's win or learn.
And I think Bill Self kind of said quarters yesterday at Media Day. Cal sent out a tweet today. Can you just explain why it's beneficial to switch from halves to quarters in a situation like this?
Great question. I think when Coach Self and Cal got together and talked, they talked about being prepared for situations. And by going to quarters, you get an opportunity to touch on different situations in the course of a game. And it allows you to have multiple of those situations, opposed to just playing straight out and you get a end of a 20-minute half. Now you got quarters, you get more opportunities to touch on different situations.
Anthony,
Hey, Kenny, Anthony Christensen here. Nice to virtually meet you. But just in speaking to returning and coaching with Coach Calipari again, just what have been the biggest benefits for you just to be in that environment again, and how have you kind of adjusted being, at Arkansas?
It's been great. It's been unbelievable fan support, people in the community, great people in this state. We know they want to win. They support us. It's been unbelievable being back with Cal, doing the things that, make a program successful and getting the support that you need to be successful. This has been an unbelievable situation, hard for everybody to leave a place where you've been for so long, but to come to Arkansas and to be received the way we have, for him, the way he's been received, there's a joy that he has in coaching again, and he deserves that.
And then just speaking in terms of, a game like this, how do you prepare for, a team like Kansas, who obviously has a lot of newcomers and a lot of returners? Is it kind of looking over film from last year, or how does that kind of work?
A little bit of all of it. We've watched a couple of their stuff they did last year. This is a different team. I love it because there's a philosophy amongst coaches that your principles, your defensive principles, your offensive principles. So we don't know what they're going to run. So our principles have to be tight and have to be on point. Because we don't know what they're going to run. We don't know what offense that Coach Self has put in, if he's changing anything from a year ago. We know he's got a really good team, and we're going to have to adjust to some things that he may be doing that's different, that he may want to add to his team. So I'm excited about that. And, I believe the best way to learn is when you can't predict what they're going to do, and they have to pick it up on the fly and fight through it and talk through it.
And then
But-
oh,
I'm sorry, go ahead, Anthony.
yeah, last one for me. I know you competed against Tony Bennett in the ACC and maybe got to know him a little bit from that. And obviously, a kind of a sudden decision for him to retire. Just what was your reaction to that news?
I talked to Coach Bennett. We text back and forth a few times over the last week. I left him with this statement: to thyself be true. Know what you want to do and know who you are. He's a man of high character, a man of faith. And he felt like he couldn't do his job the way he wanted to do it on his terms. So he stepped away, and hats off to him. He deserves that. We're going to miss him in this college game. He is needed in this college game, but he deserves to be happy, and I wish him nothing but success.
Hutch,
Yeah, Coach, I think it was a little bit ago we talked to Coach Cal and we asked him about, what made him want to bring you back onto his staff, and he talked about how he maybe mentioned to you something like, "Hey, you're Kenny bleeping Payne." I'm just curious, kind of what did that kind of vote of confidence do for you, and just what did that mean to you?
I mean, Cal is a friend, a mentor, a boss. You know, the things that he's done for my career, for my family, both spiritually, emotionally, financially, all of it. He's been in my life throughout this whole process, and since I got into coaching. I love the man. I love who I work for. I love what he's about. I think young people need to, and families need to really take a look at the type of men you surround your young people with, and what type of men you want to run your university, your basketball program. It's vital that you have men of character, men of faith, men that care about young people. In the old days, there was this saying, nobody cares how much you know until they know how much you care. Well, more than any other time in and since I've been in the business, that is more important now than ever because there's a lot of different things going on in this generation that could lead to disaster, and they need men in their lives, coaches in their life, mentors in their life, like a John Calipari, to help them get on the right path.
And then also, I know we all know about how Coach Cal kind of built this roster as, 9 main rotation guys, but you also filled out the roster with several other guys. I'm wondering if any of those other guys have maybe stood out to you, especially given all the injuries you've had lately, if anybody stood out and made an impression on you.
Well, they all have worked hard, and they all have, put in the time to be ready to play. If you have a jersey on your back, you got to be ready. And so whether that's contributing in practice, contributing in a live situation, contributing in the classroom, all of it, you have to be ready for this. And I think all of our guys, I think Cash has done a good job. He's one of the few that's not injured. He's been there. Melo is injured. And Aiden has done a good job, and so has Kareem. They all have came in and done more than their share to prove that they deserve to be on this roster. So we're proud of all of them.
Connor.
Hey, Coach. We talked to Coach Cal a little bit about kind of his expectations for the season, and he's been kind of quick to just kind of downplay it a little bit. I just wanted to get your thoughts on what your expectations are for this year, and just kind of approaching this job for the new coaching staff, new roster, all that, and just kind of where you think this roster can go and what you're expecting.
Great question. I think the first thing is for everybody to really understand that we're building a culture. We're not walking in with a culture already established. We got new players that are coming from different situations that are joining us, and we're teaching. So basically, when I say that, I'm saying this is a process. Every team that Coach Cal has coached over the X amount of years, there's been a common denominator. The team gets better January, February, March. So we have to approach this with that in mind, knowing that we're teaching guys that all have been stars in their own right. Now we're teaching them to buy into each other. And that's hard to do. If you've been the star on one team and shot all the balls and another guy, and you got 5 guys that have all had success being stars, how do you get them to buy into what you're doing? Well, the first thing is they have to respect each other. And we have to teach them about respect. We have to teach them about the importance of being a unit, the importance of if one person lets us down, then we all fail. So we're teaching that, and that's a process, and that's going to take time. The great thing about this is that we have talented kids that listen to us. We have high character kids that want to do the right thing, and Coach is doing a good job of really pushing these kids, and especially with, the guys that we have out, it's allowed the freshmen to really get time on the court and practice. And so as this year goes on, to answer your question simply, January, February, we'll know exactly what we are.
Bob.
Sorry, I'm still figuring out how to unmute after all these years. Hey, you talked about the staff. I mean, you're part of a very veteran staff. So part one of that is, Cal's kind of got the gang back together, so to speak. But his son, I didn't research this, but I gather his son, like Kentucky, had a policy where his son couldn't work for him, because I know he's gone on radio and talked about how big that is, and his wife especially. So I was wondering, part one, just what about having the veteran staff back together, and then what have you seen from Cal and his son getting to coach together, and how much you think that means to Cal?
I think it means everything. I was fortunate enough to get the Louisville head job, and I got to coach my son. And every single day, I can't begin to tell you what it felt like to have him be a part of what I'm doing every single day. So to have his son in the coaching profession and to have him learn under him and to have all his, he was a young kid growing up with all of us. And so to have his kid being mentored or the older statesmen that are helping him when he was a player and now as a coach, the joy on Cal's face, the joy in Brad's eyes, learning from his dad, seeing them go through stuff together, talking about different situations, accelerating his growth as a young coach. Brad's going to be a hell of a coach one day in his own right. And, it's good to see. Again, I say this, when you put kids in people's lives that are adults, these are some of the lessons that you get from it. You get to see a man coach his son. You see a man get to be on the staff with his son. It helps you understand as a parent, wow, look what he did for his son. It's hard to coach people if you don't have kids. Like, you're mentoring kids that are going to make mistakes. But if you're a father, if you're a loving father, if you have examples, I'm sure all of these players on this team are watching the dynamics between Cal and Brad and saying, wow, I respect that.
And then as far as the veteran crew, what's it like being back with all your Kentucky guys?
It's been great. I think we have a dynamic staff. Chan Coleman is great, does a great job. Chuck Martin is unbelievable, works hard. Bruiser Flint been with Cal for over 25, 30 years. Chris Woolard could have been a commissioner of one of these major conferences, is here on this staff. Riley Hall knows Arkansas inside and out. Tyler Eulis played here. I mean, Lanitha has been with Cal for years, over 25 years. Look, we got a staff that's familiar with each other. We know what our jobs are. Cal want us to love these young people and adopt their dreams and help this community bring something special to the state of Arkansas, to the community of Arkansas, and to the University of Arkansas. So it's been fun.
Yeah, thanks.
Anthony.
Yeah, one of the I guess big criticisms with the last season's Kentucky team was, their work on the defensive side of the ball. At SEC Media Day, Cal kind of talked about how they've built this roster to be, a defensive team. Just where have you seen, the guys kind of grow in that department, and where do you kind of think they stand on the defensive side of the ball?
Well, it's hard when you go in 2 or 3 weeks without a bunch of players that are major contributors to what you're doing. But what you've seen is, from a coaching standpoint, what Jonas Adu brings to the table, what Adu Thero brings to the table, what TB Brazil brings to the table, what Z can bring to the table. These are big, long guys. And I bring up, you talk about defense, those guys first, the last line of defense. So rim protection, rebounding, changing shots. That is vital to be a very good team. And then with the guards that we got dynamic guards with DJ, Boogie Flan, John L. Davis, Carter Knox, Billy Richmond. Those guys are very good athletic wing players, guard players that can keep the ball in front. So it will be different than, and let's not get this mistaken. Last year, Kentucky was one of the better teams in the country. And they lost a few games, and the defense wasn't what it typically has been. But they still could have easily been playing in a Sweet 16, Elite Eight, Final Four. So there are some things that Cal wants to do and tighten up defensively. And we have the ingredients to be a really good defensive team, but they have to come together to do that.
Jackson, wrap us up, please.
Kenny, you get hired here, and Cal says to you and the staff, I want to bring in some senior transfers, not be as heavily reliant on maybe freshmen and one and dones. What was your reaction to that? Because that's kind of a shift in maybe his philosophy over the years at Kentucky.
Well, for me personally, when I came on board, a lot of the recruiting stuff was already established. So initially for me personally, I seen the difference between development versus experience, talent versus experience. Um, and as you say that, as you ask that question, I wouldn't say that Cal has went away from having talented freshmen. I would say that there's been a shift and we're trying to figure out what's the best fit. A few years ago, we had a guy, Reed Travis, on the team that was a grown man, and he helped us. He helped us go to the NCAA tournament, and it was dynamic. But you got to get the right kind of veterans to go with young, talented players until they can figure it out. I think we've done that with a John L. Davis. I think we've done that with Jonas Adu. I think DJ Wagner is that kind of guy. We have TB has seen college basketball for a few years now. So we have players that have seen high level basketball that can help the younger guys.
Thanks, Coach. Appreciate your time. Again, just a reminder,